Okay. And yeah, man, all right, we're live. All right.
How you doing?
All right, man. You're not gonna yell at me, all right, again? All right.
I won't yell at you. Come on.
Promise, man. Yeah, take out your anger out on the Democrats, man, not on me, man. Madam Pelosi, for goodness sake, man.
Madness, right?
Yeah, she's going after your man Giuliani and company, man. Wow, terrible.
It's
heartbreaking.
They don't stop. It's just horrendous.
By the way, you look like you're in heaven. You have this light that's shining behind you. Yeah, and it's just, you have this
Look at that. The tree
glowing effect, man.
Soon. Probably in about 5 years.
You look illumined, for goodness sake.
Soon I'll be there. Maybe 5 years. I keep
let's hope, man.
And going to church.
Yeah.
I tell you, I love
from your mouth to God's ears, as they say.
Yeah, I'm going to that church, or the original St. Patrick's down in the village.
Nice.
Very nice.
Fantastic.
Very nice to be down there. And it's a good crowd.
Fantastic.
Feels nice to be in a full church, you know. But I
think they're about the only people getting into heaven in the New York area, the greater New York area, more or less.
New York area. Yeah. That's hilarious.
I'm talking about the tri-state area, actually. So, yeah. It's pretty bad.
I always mess around with my friends, you know, like they tell me they did something, and I'm like, that's 10 years of purgatory.
You guys got Schumer, right? You got Nadler, right? And we have our roommate, my former neighbor, remember? What's his name? Congressman?
Yes.
Engelman, right?
Engel. Yeah.
Engels.
Congressman Engel's trying to
Engel.
And make a name for himself now, right?
Yeah, I remember I saw him in the Loop in Co-op City, and he said, wow, you go to Harvard? Oh, not bad. You know, maybe he'll be in Congress or something like that.
Elliot,
something like that.
I mean, I remember your
father. He sold out. He left us, and then he ran to Riverdale, I think.
I remember your father always saying, you always see him with the president. He's always trying to shake the president's hand.
Yeah. Now he's behind Pelosi like a hand puppet or something.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Like he'd peep his head out once every 3 years to say something.
He never speaks. But he never speaks.
He's like
like a puppet. I think, I'm telling you, man. I think, I don't know, George Soros or something has his hand up there, man. That's what I'm
pretty funny.
Man, I hope he doesn't hear.
We were talking about Ricky Gervais. I know this was last week. But you were shocked at what he said, and so was I.
Let me just say, I was trying to find a theme for this podcast, and I think we could call it illusion and reality. And I was just had this enduring image for the last few days of them slow walking. You can't make this up. It's like bad literature on a silver platter, a literal silver platter. Okay, the slow walk. Like they're putting someone in state. It reminded me of the ceremony that one would have after the assassination of JFK when he lied in state in the Capitol. Goodness, I mean how ceremonious they all and somber they were with this, and how ridiculous they looked.
Well, it's all a joke, like
charade. For goodness sake,
they're trying to tell you, like they would say in the old days when a parent was going to hit you. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't really want to do it. They have to do it to save this country, right?
Yeah, and I heard Gutfield say that Pelosi, I think it was Gutfield, who said that Pelosi was literally air pumping, after it was done, for goodness sake. That doesn't seem like such a somber, serious mood, right? That they're compelled to do this. That the founding fathers compelled them to do this, for goodness sake.
It didn't seem like she was guided by the Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah, and then for goodness sake, I mean, why does she take so long to hold up these articles? I mean, people are laughing. Why? Because she was waiting for the order of the Pelosi pens. Did you check that one out?
Yeah.
It actually said Pelosi on it, right? It was unbelievable. Golden pens. It looked like a bullet, by the way. They looked like gold bullets. Have you noticed?
Come on.
Weird. Take a look at them. So strange, but you can't make this up. And then we had the Democratic debates, which were just horrific, when the Donald had his speech in the same city, Milwaukee, at the same time. And I think no one showed up for the Democratic debate. They all showed up for Trump's speech, for goodness sake. And then Sanders, and then Warren comes after Sanders, seemingly without knowing that there was a hot mic. And she complains that he accused her that he accused her of what? Of lying, I think, on national TV. And also for being a sexist in relation to actually comments that alluded to Sanders being a sexist. But I mean, did she not know it was a hot mic? That wasn't done to play up to the camera yet again. Come on.
Well, Ben Shapiro, I heard him yesterday, covered that, and he stated that CNN is in with Warren because they are trying to destroy Bernie again.
Of course.
So the accusation was that Bernie said, I believe, a couple years ago that he didn't think a woman could become president.
Okay.
Bernie's saying, why would I say that when Hillary got 3 million more votes than Donald Trump?
Right.
I said a woman could be president 30 years ago. It's on YouTube. And then Warren called. So the question was asked to Bernie. It was a loaded question.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Is that what happened?
Like, why did you say this? And Bernie said, I didn't say it.
Got it.
So then the question was then asked to Warren, when he told you this, like it was confirmed.
Right.
I mean, a Soviet tactic. Another way to destroy.
Yeah, that was like when Anderson Cooper in one of the last debates mentioned the conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden.
Right. It's been debunked, or some along
the conspiracy theory, the debunked conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden, and goodness.
I hear so many friends. I have so many friends who
former
think
friends
they're informed, and they make things up. Or
former friends, right?
Oh yeah, that would. Yeah, well, they say that was debunked.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Yeah, Hunter Biden was claimed it. He's innocent on those charges. I said he went to court for it. He was indicted. There was a court. Then they can't answer it. They just make these things up.
Unbelievable.
Maybe that's why Ricky Gervais was so upset.
Yeah.
With half truths and people pontificating about where they are and where the government should be in politics.
Right.
I mean, he eviscerated Hollywood.
Yeah. Do you want to give a little summary of what he said?
I don't have a summary, but I remember him basically saying, many of you out there are going to get your hardware, get this meaningless award.
Yeah.
And then pontificate on something that you know nothing about.
No, he said a lot of other things too. He actually alluded.
No, wait, hold on.
Go ahead. Okay.
You're going to pontificate on something you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Many of you have less education than Greta Thunberg, who's 16 years old.
And autistic.
Said that. He said he drove in a limousine, which he knew many people flew in on planes as well.
Yeah.
He said, now you have to pay for your own plane because Epstein's dead now.
Wow.
Yeah, you're all friends with him. You can't come in on his plane.
Wow.
Along those lines.
Right. And he talked about a character of a series that he's in. And he says that actually that person did not kill himself the way that Epstein did not kill himself. He said that as well too.
Right.
So,
and then he said
buying into the non-conspiracy theory that actually Epstein was whacked. Right.
Yeah. Then he said he came in on a limo, and the license plate was made by that actress who's in jail now. I forget her name. The one who fudged records to get her daughter into
USC, for goodness sake. We're not talking about Yale, but then I'll talk about USC. I don't get that. You can't get USC on your own. I know, but you can't get in on your own steam. They only have about 45,000 students. But anyway, aside from that.
On your own steam. I like that.
Come on.
I mean, she's not going into Stanford, right?
Yeah, I mean, gaming the system for Bronx Community College. I don't know. It's kind of weird, man. Fordham is, all right, Fordham is about the same level as USC. Come on.
Yeah, I think so.
Gaming the system for Fordham or St. John's University, I'm just
Fordham's better.
Yeah, USC's good actually. I take that.
I know.
I have a lot of friends. I sent a lot of students there, and actually, it's now rivaling UCLA, so it is up there, top 50, top 20, more or less, top 20.
So,
but anyway, I don't know why I'm saying that. But go ahead, tell me. Yeah.
So you're forget about just the content. You were basically saying, how could he say these things? I
was thinking about this. First of all, they knew he was going to say this, for goodness sake. They must have read what he was about to say, and this thing was on a teleprompter. So I'm wondering, just like with now the CNN coverage, it's not just CNN, I think it's New York Times too, that they're supporting Warren over Biden, okay? No, I'm sorry, Warren, no, not over Biden, but over Sanders, actually. And now there's a coordinated liberal media hit job on Sanders. And And so that's the reality of it. The illusion is that these things are just happening, but no, I don't think so. I think they're being coordinated. When it comes to the hit on Sanders, I think maybe a lot of billionaires are getting worried about the reality of, what was it, the Veritas expose?
Okay, yeah,
okay.
right.
Well, and I think there's more than one person's within his camp, I think, who are caught out there, but certainly one infamous one who recently talked about re-educating us Trumpers.
Oh, my
right?
God.
Well,
Yeah.
we Trumpers. I mean, people who have a brain. How about that? Okay.
Pretty scary, isn't it?
Former Democrats over here, okay? Lifelong Democrats, okay, who switched parties recently because of the inanity of it all, for goodness sake, at this chapter in human history. Anyway, yeah, re-educating us just like we feared, okay? And that actually ties into all those fears of the existence of FEMA camps and whether that's a possibility or not.
Right.
I've heard, on good information over and over and over again that they have them and they're lying in wait, okay, depending on who wins this civil war. And now there's no doubt about it that what we're facing is a coup d'etat, so far an unsuccessful, pathetic coup d'etat against this president and the 65 million of us, one half of the country, more than one half, I probably would say, I think about 70% of us, by the way, in the country, who are supporting this person against the establishment, okay, to clean up DC and to break the back of these elitists who don't have much love and much interest for a sovereign America. That's the whole point.
You know, it's shocking to me. The liberals, supposedly, not the leftists, the liberals who always wanted to go against the system. We spoke about this. Spoke out against the FBI, the CIA, and government. They are migrating to the establishment, which is the Democratic Party. How could you not see that, okay, Trump is a Republican now, but he's anti both parties in many ways.
Yeah.
He's the radical you've been looking for.
I think I know the answer. There's two problems here. One of which is there's been a very vicious and very effective campaign of deception. And I could actually speak to you about the lack of political knowledge, actually the lack of political cultural knowledge, I should say, in France. You have no idea for what they take as a fact and what they don't take as a fact. And it's really the opposite of what they should, or what is actually reality. Yeah. It's unbelievable. For example, they all believe that he's already legally speaking out of office because he's been impeached. Perfect example.
They see that it's not.
Okay, but this is what they get. Now, he's out of office now, right? So this is now the occupant in the White House who actually is illegally holding on to power. This is kind of like the perception that we have here in France.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it goes on to the reason why every person a shade darker than someone from Scandinavia, why they may have relatively poorer societies and relatively disordered societies is always because of the oppression of what? Said white people. And nothing is attributable to societies or people in their individual choices and the unique histories that peoples carve out for themselves. There's no talk of that. And it's just, this assumption, cut a long story short, of cultural Marxism and how easily they accept all that stuff.
And you know what else is shocking? Most people don't realize this. They don't have any grasp on history.
No.
The history of the world is poverty.
Oh, you would not believe this. I think.
Wait, hold on. The history of the world is poverty. We always ask the question, why are countries poor?
Yeah.
Instead of asking the question, why are countries rich?
Right.
And what do these poor countries, or even the individual, need to do to get out of poverty?
I don't know if it was InfoWars or Mark Dice, but they went around with a mic and they said, when was our country founded? America. And I think it was around Venice Beach, it was probably Mark Dice. And you would not believe how many people said they don't know. And they said about 25 years ago, they said around 1971 it was founded. Or no. I'm sorry, they're slapping each other. No, 1989. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. That's how much historical amnesia has set in on this generation. And the funny thing is, let me just say, the funny thing is, it's not necessarily those who are young, and certainly not those who are so-called persons of color, but we're talking about people who are white, people who are of throughout every age group, and the level of stupidity is unbelievable.
Now, hold on. Now, has this
unmatched in human history?
Hold on. Has this been pushed in the schools? Because it has to be lack of
Of
education.
course.
We're not educating our children anymore.
Yeah.
We're not telling them to learn our culture,
Yeah.
which is the country they live in. We're telling them, all those classics we read 35 years ago in high school are not even required reading anymore. There's
Well, first of all, we have no way to tell because, we were educated in a different era, which was bad to begin with. It was bad in our era too. It wasn't very good. In the era before us, a generation or two before us, people had to know Latin and Greek before they could graduate, for example, from a lycée in France. People are barely literate. Maybe they're not even literate when they come out of high school in the United States, in many portions of the United States. Of course, there's a great inequality.
They pass them on.
Right.
That?
Social promotion, right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I haven't been back at a university for a long time, so I don't know. I can tell you that
I know from my
the reason why I left the United States is because it was completely dominated by all the isms, and everything was from the prism of an ism. And that's even at Harvard Law School. I can never get a straight answer on what the law is from what it isn't, and making logical connections between arguments. Logic and reason had no place in a classroom at Harvard very often. I'm not going to say all the time, but all too often. And it was simply factions in class who actually saw the law, saw a particular case from their own prism. From the LGBT community, well, yeah, you can even break down from the male homosexual community, from the female homosexual community, from the asexual community, to the black, to the brown, to the Latin. It was unbelievable. To the Jewish, perhaps, it was unbelievable. Then you had that one poor slob, that everyone laughed at, who had that reminded everyone of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nazi who actually was a member of the Federalist Society, or maybe that poor black kid who had a conscience and a brain who was a member of the Federalist Society and was actually articulating a reasoned, commonsensical view of the law. Unbelievable. And they were vilified.
Well, tell me this. They probably don't want to.
They ended up being incels,
They don't want to respect the law and the Constitution. Don't they want to manipulate it? Doesn't it seem like those are the same charges put on Trump for impeachment? What are they talking about? What's there?
It's not even worth our time.
Right.
It's a joke. Now, I think what's more interesting is why these things are happening. This is why I want to get back to my original point about illusion and reality. So the illusion is that it was just an accident with Warren and the hot mic and Sanders. I don't think that was an accident. I think it was all staged. That's obvious. And Sanders didn't bite. He was about to bite and have an argument with her, and then he walked off. I was very bright of him, okay? So he could contemplate this. Another illusion is that Sanders is just some social democrat, but actually maybe, by the way, you can't really tell. You can't account for everyone who's on your staff, so that's ridiculous. And I'm sure this guy probably from Iowa probably does not know Sanders, so you can't attribute every person who's sending out leaflets, or I don't know how high in the hierarchy he is. I don't think he's that high, but he's certainly just in Iowa. Maybe he shook his hand once or twice, but you can't account for nutters who are going to be on your staff. Just to be fair to Sanders. But the reality might be that he's not just a social democrat. That is to say, that's something that's familiar to American political history, like, for example, around the New Deal era or the war on poverty era. But maybe Sanders is actually pushing us so far to the left that it's going to be unrecognizable to us who remember the cardinal virtues of America. That's the fear.
Yeah, and
maybe that's what he's talking. Maybe he is actually the Marxist threat or the communist threat that many of us have been saying. Let me just make my point. So I think actually, so if that's the case, if he's actually that as much of a threat as they're suggesting, then maybe there might be a hit job from up above, particularly the ruling banker class that he seems to be targeting. They might be pulling the strings on Sanders, or maybe. Maybe there's some wild conspiracy theories here that even those people are global elites and they don't care about the country and they're willing to let the country burn for some global New World Orderish type situation for their own benefits. That maybe they just think that Sanders is not electable at this point in American history. That could be part of it as well, too. I don't know. Now, when it comes to Ricky Gervais, let me just jump to that one for a moment. I think actually they must have known. They must have given him the green light. That's what I think. Hollywood, the Hollywood elite, who they're all connected. Media elite, Hollywood elite, bankers, the military-industrial complex. The Fiona Hills of the world. I don't know. She's low level, but she's part of that. I bet the Obama, who's probably orchestrating quite a bit, and Clinton is orchestrating quite a bit for this so far pathetic coup d'etat. coup d'etat. I mean, if you're going to do a coup d'etat, let's do it proper, man. This is so pathetic. Anyway, aside from that, they must have given him the green light. And the question is, if that's the case, why would they give Ricky Gervais the green light to say what he said? It's a very interesting question, I think.
No, maybe some of the producers of this show were fed up with things and just thought it was funny, thought it was a complete change from the normalcies of political correctness. I have no idea, but they had to know what he was going to say, right?
Yeah, so maybe one theory is that they're losing money, they're hemorrhaging so badly that they want to, start making money again, right? What's that expression?
Maybe they throw the other side a bone every once in a while.
Oh, that's another one. But the other expression is get woke, get broke. I think the Marvel universe is actually dying because of, man, I have to say, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life was the last X-Men. I mean, it was just like unbelievable, just rant against men, and men can do nothing. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, over and over again.
Oh my, Miss Marvel, right?
I thought that was okay.
I didn't see it.
I saw it a couple of times.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Marvel. I'm sorry, Captain Marvel, right? Sorry.
Yeah, but we were talking about Ricky Gervais, and it's funny. I put on the radio and I heard some Michael Savage speak about something we spoke about many a time.
Yep.
That the old actors in Hollywood, these guys were willing to lay their life on the line for this country. They believed in this country, and everything wasn't perfect for, every individual. There was struggle there, but, I went down a list. I did my own research, and I looked at some of these prominent actors from the 60s and 70s. For example, Charles Bronson was a tail gunner in World War II. He got a Purple Heart.
Wow.
I mean, now he showed that he was that tough guy on the screen. But could you imagine, Chris?
Wow.
These guys just gave selflessly. Even Charlton Heston was a sergeant in World War II.
Oh, we need Charlton Heston today, man. Oh, he was so great. Oh, he was so great.
How fantastic was he in some of those movies, man? Some of those dystopian movies, like Mega Man and
what is it? Get your dirty paws off me, you damn dirty ape. I love that. Paul
Newman.
You could have been her. Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. Paul Newman wanted to be a pilot, but he was colorblind. So he became a U.S. Navy radio man.
Forget about Charlton Heston. He really was one of the greats, man.
Oh, wow. I loved him. I loved him.
Gary Cooper, what about him? He must have done something, right?
I'm sure, but I have this small list. Even Rock Hudson was a U.S. Navy aircraft mechanic in the Philippines. And maybe.
What about sportsmen? What about Ted Williams? Man, you used to tell me. What did Ted Williams
flew many a mission? I think he missed 3 to 5 years of baseball. I heard 5 years.
What about DiMaggio? Did he do anything? No.
Yeah, DiMaggio served in the war.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay. All right.
Yeah, all those ball players did, man. I mean, it was a duty. It was a norm.
Yep.
They didn't overanalyze and say, wow, I'm not rich, or my cousin is, in a hospital, therefore society's not fair. What should I'm not going to serve. No, these people serve. Your favorite, here we go. Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, really?
He was turned down for pilot service because he was underweight. He was unique because Stewart was a star before he enlisted. Unlike many of the other actors, he took part in 20 combat missions, and by the end of the war, he reached the title of colonel. He was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 oak clusters. He was also awarded the Air Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, and the French Croix de Guerre with the palm. I can't pronounce it.
Oh, beautiful accent, man. Yeah.
Thank you, babe. Even one more, Henry Fonda worked in operations and air combat in the Central Pacific, and he won the Bronze Star. And our guy from the Bronx, Tony Curtis, was a U.S. Navy veteran. I'm just
Tony Curtis,
from the Grand Concourse.
Well, he's from there? I thought he was from Throg's Neck.
Grand Concourse.
Oh, that was Henry
Winkler.
And your
guy. Who's one of your favorite actors from Bridge on the River Kwai? And
I love him. Holden.
Not Holden, but I'm going to give you another one. He was in, what was he in? Oh, okay. Star Wars, of course, we know.
Oh, Alec Guinness. I love him.
Yes, served in the Royal Navy Reserve.
Oh, nice.
Commanded an aircraft, a landing aircraft that was significant in Sicily and in Elba, the island of Elba. So I'm just giving an example of, like, could you imagine, like, Tom Cruise? I mean, you know, you can laugh at me too, but Tom Cruise, like, going in on D-Day? Or I don't know. I'm just giving, like, can you imagine Brad Pitt driving a tank? I mean, in Normandy.
You did, actually. What was the movie?
No, I'm just saying, maybe they could if they had to.
Yeah.
But when we look at the contrast between, you know, Hollywood then and Hollywood now, there has to be a degree of humility that these actors had in the past and an appreciation for America.
I can ask you what happened to Vince Vaughn. I think you mentioned something about that. He got blacklisted.
He was at the championship game.
No, but what happened?
Game.
Yeah,
LSU versus Clemson.
Yeah.
And there's a video of him speaking to Donald Trump and shaking his hand in a box.
So he's been vilified because of that, you mean?
Yeah. He said he was vilified way before that.
Why?
Because
he tended to the left, or he was moderate?
I think he produced, like, a conservative movie.
Oh, yeah? Which one?
I don't know the specific name of it, but he did. I could look it up.
I think it was the Wedding Crasher, wasn't it? Or something like that?
Well, now you couldn't make that possibly, right? Because men are trying to go after girls and that, right?
I only saw part of it on a plane, though. That was kind of a brilliant plot, I thought, man.
Oh, no,
That's true, actually.
Hilarious.
Actually, it reminded us back in the day crashing Sweet 16s, man. That's what I thought of.
Oh, right.
Remember that? Yo, we're going to crash. Yo, I heard Linda, she's having a Sweet 16 on the Grand Concourse. Remember?
Right.
You remember that?
Oh, of course.
People are dressed up and I show up on it with white on white, you know, untied Adidas, man. They wouldn't let me in.
Right.
Dude, with a stupid T-shirt, man, and white on white Adidas, they wouldn't let me in.
Fans
had pulled backwards, man. It's crazy.
Right. Supposedly, fans were canceling Vince Vaughn even before this, but he's been vilified even more. Even though I think he came out many moons ago and said he's a libertarian, and you know that's a noble
cause. That's a noble cause. Being a libertarian is a noble cause.
Right. But that's a new Hollywood where they're out to get you. You know. They're out to get you if you don't agree with everything they want.
Don't worry. He always has a home in our podcast, you know. Especially since he looks so much like you, like everyone has always said.
Yeah, right? Sure. Yeah. I got that a lot.
Personality-wise, too, by the way. But anyway, aside from that. But I'm just trying to come up with theories about why Ricky Gervais was allowed, apparently, to say what he said. It looks like, actually, now we're getting theological, that the devil kind of, or evil, we could say evil if you want to not get so theological here, right? That evil props up certain people, then he uses you in the end. You think you're on the side of evil, then evil uses you for its own evil ends. So maybe those remaining...
Wait, you think you're on the side of good.
Well, not on the side of good. You're on the winning side, and then they betray you, because that's what evil people do. They betray for their own purposes, right? Whatever those purposes might be. This is the perfect utilitarian calculus. The greatest good for the greatest amount of people. The ends justify the means. Anyway, just like Stalin, who years after he came into power, you see a photograph of him in one of the great Congress of the Bolsheviks, and almost everyone in that photograph, and there are hundreds of them, they were all he had personally signed the death warrants for just about all of them. So they use them to get into power, and then they betray them. So maybe some certain powers are using this as an occasion to what? Appeal to Hollywood, get Hollywood to look more human and to appeal to the rest of us by selling out the handful of Hollywood slugs that were at that award show. Right.
Hey, that's what Ben Shapiro said.
That's what he said.
Warren was doing to Bernie Sanders.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm kind of thinking here. Maybe because I think Hollywood is the primary arm. Okay, I have a very theologically adled, directed point of view about globalist elites and what their final objective is. And I do believe that, just as they've been saying hundreds, maybe thousands of times at the highest levels, that they will provide, including Biden, he said that too when he was vice president, it's inevitable, they will give us or gift us a new world order. And I think this is what this is all about. And I think Hollywood is one of the primary propaganda arms for that effort. Same thing with the liberal dominated media, ABC, NBC, CNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. Yeah. And I think that actually they realize that they're losing the public relations debate. That people, I think they realize with this whole Trump phenomenon that the public is not as stupid as they assume them to be. That people are waking up. They're truly getting woke, at least some of us. Not everyone, but some of us, to how we've been sold out by the political left, and how this political left is not the same political left that we all ascribe to, okay, as a matter of conscience in the beginning of the civil rights movement, say around late 1950s, early 1960s. This is a different movement.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, the point is that they need to be able to use Hollywood for the purposes of their broader aim of propaganda, and they realize people are rebelling against these Hollywood elites, so they have Ricky Gervais come on and kind of like throw them into the fire. Right. These people that they built up, and then they just use them, throw them into the fire, so that now Hollywood looks a little bit more appealable to the rest of us, so they can actually deceive us in the future. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you wonder how many people really watching the show, how many people is this going to influence. It's just, one grain of rice in a bowl of rice. Does it really make a difference?
No.
But just to get back to what you were saying, Vince Vaughn was under attack 5 years ago on his stance on gun control, when he said banning guns is like banning forks in an attempt to stop making people fat. So he said firearms should be allowed in schools. So this was 5 years ago, and I don't think we've heard about him in a prominent role since.
I think Clint Eastwood
supported Ron Paul.
Yeah, and Clint Eastwood. Oh, really? Did? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Ron Paul is very appealable. I have to say, my wife is being seduced by Rand Paul.
Oh, I like him.
I think Rand Paul has a possibility of leading the movement after Trump. I have to tell you.
You said
Clint Eastwood's another one, man. And he's just been vilified. Well, Clint Eastwood, he's been vilified, but I don't think.
Clint Eastwood
doesn't give a damn, man. The man with no name.
Clint Eastwood is, almost 90 years old, and he's beyond being hurt by anybody.
And he has enough power to do what he likes. So he can say, make his own movies, right, and star himself in the movies.
Just like Mel Gibson. Like Mel Gibson. There's a few people that could write their own checks. They are beyond being manipulated by mainstream.
A nice feeling. Oh, it's a nice feeling, I have to tell you. If you could enjoy that.
Being there, liberated, where you can do whatever you want.
It's my dream, man.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Buy yourself freedom. Isn't that it, huh?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking about starting my own publishing house. It's an idea. We'll talk about that at some point. Yeah, I'm serious.
I didn't say you're not.
Anyway, let's wind this down, if you don't mind.
I just say one thing. What about the tariffs? The trade deal.
Let me just say that conflict between illusion and reality, that's a perfect one. So as people are using the golden bullet-shaped or bullet-looking Pelosi pens to sign these nonsensical impeachment, or like that means something. And what's his name? Joe in the morning. What's his name? Joe Scarborough.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see his rant that the generations of Giuliani's and the generations of Trumps will have to live with this for the rest of their life? The shame of living this, essentially like Benedict Arnold or Goebbels or something, to have that, or Hitler, to have that name for all of. They have to change their name at some point. The descendants of the descendants of the descendants of Trump. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But anyway. Yeah, so on the New York Post, which is wonderful, there's on the front page. Did you see that? They juxtaposed Pelosi with her Pelosi golden bullet-shaped pens signing these nonsensical impeachment orders in this quote-unquote, somber ceremony, sad, somber ceremony. And on the other hand, and on the split screen on that paper was Donald Trump signing the trade deal, the unimaginable trade deal. That he promised us with China. Not only China, but also the trade deal with Mexico and Canada. It's unbelievable.
Jim Cramer, who has his own show, MSNBC, I believe. He was talking to Mr. Faber. I actually know his son.
MSNBC. Okay, yeah. Okay.
And he said this is the trade deal, even though it's just begun, embryonic stages, phase 1.
Yeah.
He said this was unheard of. Everyone believed that the farmers and our economy was going to be hurt much more.
Yeah.
No one thought China would cave.
But this is NBC, MSNBC actually saying this?
Yeah. Well,
that's shocking.
Once in a while, you have a guy who's just going to tell like it is, like Jim Cramer. He said this is a win-win for the United States.
Unbelievable.
And actually, I was reading something from the U.S. Census Bureau that income gains are 4 times more than Obama in less than 1/2 the time. For example, an average middle-class family that was making $61,000 before Trump's presidency is now making $5,500 more. And this is from the U.S. Census Bureau.
I heard $7,000 more. I've heard other.
Well, this one says 5,600.
And I heard the primary gains of late.
Significant money.
I heard the primary gains of late have not been at the high end of the labor queue, but actually at the low end. So the lowest workers,
Well, yeah. Well,
they benefited the
middle
most.
class is gaining dramatically.
Unbelievable.
So this is, once again, the gains 5,600 as opposed to Obama's about 1,200.
Unbelievable.
Half the time. So this is significant. So when you have someone tell you, oh, what's $5,600? Everyone can benefit for.
Well, my big fear is that the economy is riding a bubble, because actually even Trump's we're riding a bubble.
That's how it is. But that's how the economy.
I know that, but I think actually his support is razor thin, and if that bubble breaks before November, then we're looking at a Sanders or a Biden or a Bloomberg, in the White House.
Let's evaluate this. Let's say the economy keeps roaring for the next 6 months, but after 6 months later, let's say a bubble or it starts to subside and crash a little bit or go down. You still have to look at the gains for the last 3.5 years. You got to look at it as an aggregate, not just what is going on today.
Well, it depends. It depends on how much that bubble is and how and where it brings us, right? Okay.
But anybody with any sense of economics knows
that's
that is norm in.
That's it.
The ebbs and flows.
But that's the problem, and therein is the problem with today, and therein is the problem with democracy.
Right.
That people are so poorly educated. They're not only illiterate in the English language, they're functionally illiterate, but they're certainly illiterate when it comes to philosophy, illiterate when it comes to history and logic and economics. Forget about it. Right. Yeah, actually, even John Maynard Keynes said that about FDR when he actually showed up to the White House. He said that he didn't realize how illiterate FDR was in economics. And that's the U.S. president.
As I told you, Thomas Sowell and other economists, I believe it was Friedman maybe, who was the first to say this, said FDR, with his policies, the recession went on for 10 to 12 years longer than it should have.
Yeah.
Because at its apex, before FDR or during FDR, unemployment was at about, let's say I'm throwing out a number, 6%.
Yeah.
Then when he intervened,
Yep.
and tried to have tariffs and did other things, it went up to eventually 20%, and it held a high number for a long period of time.
Yep.
So they scoffed at Hoover and presidents before when you had a downswing of doing nothing.
Yep.
But that's sometimes the best thing to do. The economy will correct itself.
Yep. So I think we should cover, because it's going to be the primary, I think, issue for our country, actually for much of the world in the next 10 months. And we actually need to really flesh out the understanding of what equality really is. That is to say, what's just when it comes to questions of equality, what's just when it comes to questions of liberty. We need to understand what democracy is relative to socialism, relative to communism. Is it fair, for example, one of the leftists tend to think that we're building a straw man argument by suggesting that people like Sanders are in fact communists, and that they're trying to give us communism in the end.
Of course.
I don't know. Maybe it might be a straw man argument. You're right. And that was a critique on Rand Paul's recent book on socialism, that actually he's actually offering something that's Bolsheviki in style, Soviet style, or Mao or Pol Pot in style. But that's not what people like Sanders are trying to offer. So
well, they'll tell you that. They're not going to tell you they're Pol Pot. Okay. Hold on. He's the most dangerous person in the world because he looks like your grandfather.
But we don't know. We don't know if
you don't know until it happens and he gains that power.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same
Don't let
time,
them get that power.
but at the same time, we have to be fair about these arguments. We can't say that everyone is going to be like Pol Pot. We have to suggest that maybe they might be like, I don't know, Michael Harrington instead, someone,
Okay, but why-
a couple of pegs
But
lower.
why allow him to get there if there's a possibility of it? And
Why, why not? Well, why not allow them to get there if, in fact, what they're offering is relatively modest or moderate? That's the whole point.
Because it's not modest to moderate. Because if you just look at what he wants, insurance for everyone, it will destroy our economy. Medicare for everyone.
Okay, but that's not exactly the same thing as him him believing that if he gets into power, he's going to march people like us into FEMA camps and re-educate us, either kill us or re-educate us. That's what I mean.
We don't know. It's never happened here.
I know.
But it goes in line. Hold on. It goes in line with giving government the ultimate power over the individual.
Okay, that's a different argument. Okay, and that's a different argument because now we're conflating. And I don't know if we should kind of keep them a little bit separable, conflating economics or good sense economics relative to our sense of justice with questions of democracy. We tend to actually conflate capitalism with democracy. We might have to practically do that, but it's still kind of important to bifurcate those arguments. Anyway, okay. Anyway, let me tell you, I think there's also, have you read this, Dismantling America by Sowell? Dismantling America, yeah. So you read through that then?
Well, yeah, I've had him. I've seen the videos of him at the Hoover Institute.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but I just bought the book.
Many of his books. Let me just say, many of his books overlap.
Yeah. Okay.
We can talk about that.
Fukuyama and maybe a little bit of Samuel Huntington. So we should go through these great books relative to the times that we're in, and I want to really flesh out some of these primary concepts. All right. Do no harm. Right. God bless America. God bless America.
God bless.
Look. God bless the church.